Hey friends, Kim the Lifelong Reader here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is a channel where we talk about all things books and reading, and sometimes we even talk about cats. So I am here with you today so I can show you the books that I have on my bedside table. That is generally where the stuff that I am currently reading will reside. Sorry, I heard some noise behind me. Wasn't sure what was going on. Where the things that I'm reading will reside. So I thought I would give you just a little bird's eye view into what I'm reading. So here we go. The first thing I'll start with is this lovely novel by the author Paulette Jiles. This is called Stormy Weather, and this is a 2007 novel from Paulette. I'm not sure if this was the first or the second novel I read by Paulette, but I've read 2 books of hers, and I have all 6 of her. I believe she's got 6 published novels. I have a copy of all 6 of them because I love her books so much. Now, I've still only read 2. I haven't read more yet, but I do have plans to. This one I did read before, but I'd like to give you a review of it. And I need to refresh my memory on everything in here before I do that, because otherwise I'm just winging it and you're not going to get a good review. So this book centers around 1930s East Texas oil. It's sort of like the Depression era America. This is a family, husband and wife, and 3 daughters. The main daughter that we focus on in this book is Janine. And at the beginning of this book, when we meet Janine, she is a very young girl who is a daddy's girl. She dotes after her dad. She follows him. She tries to keep him out of trouble with her mother because her dad is involved in working with oil rigs and pipelines, and he does a lot of driving jobs. So he travels around a fair bit, and he also drinks a fair amount, and he also gambles a fair amount. So there are some tensions in the family. These folks move around following the jobs, and in 1937 there is a drought and things kind of dry up and things get very bad for the family, and circumstances come to the front where Janine has to sort of take over and sort of stand up for the family. Now that is, she's no longer a little girl, she's aged a bit, but I really connected with that character, so it's a pleasure for me to reread this book so I can give you a better review. But again, highly recommend. And there are some little horses, I'm going to take myself out of the shot, on the cover of this book. And I noticed that on Paulette's books, at least on, I think, 3 or 4 out of the 6, there are horses, or at least 1 horse on the cover, which I think is interesting. I did recently find out that Paulette passed away in July of this year. I believe she was 82 years old. So I'd like to honor her a little bit on this channel. So eventually, once I get all of her novels read, I'll do a little bit of an author spotlight so we can really highlight. That's something, I may be crazy. Maybe I'm really far removed from the literary community and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But one of the things I would like to do on this channel is celebrate the authors that are not highlighted on TikTok. And you're not going to necessarily see them on anybody's Instagram, but their work is certainly worthy and lyrical and beautiful. Love that about Paulette. So we'll talk about that again as I get closer to finishing it. My next read that I currently have going is my audiobook. I always try to have an audiobook going, and sometimes it's on Audible, sometimes it's from the library, and this one happens to be from the library, so I'll put a little picture of it here. This is On Chesil Beach by Ian McEwan, and Ian McEwan is probably best known for his novel Atonement that was adapted into a film. I'll confess right now, I've not read that book. I did watch the film. But so far, On Chesil Beach is a bit of a character study of human nature and human beings. And we are following 2 young people, a boy and a girl, in England, and back in the early 60s. And we are watching them as they go from meeting each other to a courtship and eventually to their wedding day. And Passages vary. One is from her, one is from him. And it's really interesting so far because one passage, you're hearing the thoughts, the feelings, the fears, the motivations of the female character. And then we switch to the next passage, and now we are hearing the thoughts, the feelings, the fears, and motivations of the male character. And sometimes you can reflect back on what the female just went through, and his perceptions of what happened are different than perhaps what she was trying to put off as her vibe. So to me, that's fascinating. I have always wanted to learn more about human nature and behavior and what makes us do what we do. So this type of deep fiction that's studying all of this is really, really good for me. So excellent fit for me so far. Really enjoying McEwan's narration style, narrative voice, of course. He's got a wonderful voice. And there is supposed to be a Q&A section at the end of this with the author. Hopefully your library has that copy as well, or perhaps you can pick it up on Audible if you're interested. But that's on Chesil Beach. So I'll update you on that one when that's finished. And then my last one to bring you today is this slender little novel. On Chesil Beach is a roughly 4-hour audiobook, so that would work for Shorty September. And also this little book here is Tinkers by novelist Paul Harding. This was published in 2009 as Harding's first published novel, but I believe it won the Pulitzer in 2010. So for me, this fits a couple things, Shorty September, and also I'm doing a very slow Pulitzer read. I don't usually follow a lot of awards, but I realized recently that I've actually read a lot of Pulitzer Prize winners, and I already had a lot of Pulitzer Prize winners on my shelf because I've found them at thrift stores over the years. So I decided, what the heck, I'm going to read all of those, and it's kind of fun to get me motivated to pick up these books that have been on my shelf for a while, and some of them that I've actually just picked up. So I'll show you the cover on this one. Hopefully you can see that. It looks like a little person walking in snow. The premise behind this novel is that we are with a man in, I believe, the last 8 days of his life. What I've read so far, it seems like he's possibly on hospice care, but I've not actually had the hospice word come up. So if that's a little sensitive for some people, I totally understand. Another great thing to share with you when we're talking about this book is the fact that there is a gentleman here on BookTube named David Perell. And David's channel, I believe David is a writer. I've never read anything he's written. I can tell he's a writer. What he does on that channel is he interviews writers about the writing process. And his channel is way undersubscribed and it way over delivers. And I watched a video with Mr. Harding on there, which is where I decided I definitely wanted to start reading his work. If you are a reader that loves writers and wants to hear more about them, I strongly recommend his channel. I do not usually read Dean Koontz. I think I read Dean Koontz the last time when I was maybe 12 or 13. I haven't picked up any of his novels since then, but I really enjoyed the interview with Dean Koontz. He was quite charming, quite funny, and he's written so many novels. He told so many good stories, and David really connected with him, and he's very respectful of all the authors and asks great questions and great follow-up, and it is a wonderful time. So David Perell is a recommendation. So back to this book. This one, so far, I'm only a couple pages in. It seems a little heavy, especially as we start. We're sort of wading our way through this gentleman's hallucinations and interactions with his family. So I believe I'm going to wait until I'm done with Stormy Weather to pick this one up and get through it. But that shouldn't take long. Stormy Weather is a quick read, so... All right, that covers the books that are currently on my bedside table. I'll be back to you shortly to give you a review and give you some more further insight into these books. If you are reading anything currently that you'd like to share with me, feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, I look forward to seeing you soon. and happy reading.